Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, a reaction to the Tush push being allowed for the 2025 NFL season. Just Paul today. The guys will be back later this evening to record for tomorrow's episode that'll be coming out. As far as the Tush push ban goes, I have to say pretty surprising here. I really was expecting the Tush push to be banned heading into this year, but they come up just 2 votes short. 22-10 was the final vote in favor of banning the Tush push. 75% or 24 votes was needed for the ban to take effect. Now, a little bit of the history of how this ban happened here. The Packers put forth a proposal at the league meetings back in Palm Beach a month ago. That proposal was specifically for banning just the Tush push. That's what the language of the proposal was. And the official vote on that was 16-16 before it got tabled at the owners' meeting. Since then, the Packers changed the language of the proposal to say, offensive players cannot assist the runner except by individually blocking opponents for him. So no carrying guys, no pushing them, no pulling. You can only block for the ball carrier. That's the vote that came up just 2 votes short. So I don't think it's because of the language of the proposal, but we saw 6 votes change in favor of banning the play. That's probably some good lobbying by the teams that wanted it done. By teams, I mean, in all likelihood, Roger Goodell and the NFL who wanted it done. But ultimately, they cited player safety and pace of play as the problem. I can't think off the top of my head of too many situations where the Tush push resulted in players being hurt. And if I'm wrong, someone please tell me in the comment section. It's just, we've seen a lot of these plays, and I really can't think of one where some guys have been slow to get up, but I can't think of any really bad injury resulting from the Tush push. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but that was always something. I also didn't play in the NFL, clearly. But so I don't know. Maybe it is super dangerous. We've heard people say that who have much more on-field experience or on-field awareness than I do. It's just not something that's really registered to me as far as being a huge problem. It is funny, the teams that voted in favor of keeping the play were, and it makes sense when you think about this, the Ravens, rough team, rugged team every single year, great defense. The Lions, Dan Campbell. You saw the Patriots in there with Mike Vrabel. Now you have the Jets as well, and with Aaron Glenn, another one of those guys, the Detroit mindset right there. All these gritty teams and gritty guys voted to keep the play. Dan Campbell said a couple months ago, we need to figure out how to stop it, not necessarily just ban it because Philly's good at it. And ultimately, I do think that that's what the main thing here for me is that just because Philly's dominant at a play doesn't mean it should be banned, right? Just because the Eagles are better at it than everyone else doesn't mean that the league should just take it away. The Eagles and the Bills ran the play 163 times over the past 3 years. That is more than the rest of the league combined. And they're very good at it. 87% of the time, they get a touchdown or a first down out of that play. But it doesn't always work, even for them. Think about the Bills in the AFC Championship game, ran the Tush push, got stopped, and wound up losing their opportunity to go to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Sometimes the play doesn't work, but for them, it works most of the time. The rest of the league struggles. Now, again, I think most of the time quarterback sneaks work, so struggles is relative here. But I can think of the Vikings several times with Kirk Cousins was the worst in the world at the Tush push. How many times off the top of my head can I think of Kirk Cousins getting stuffed on a 3rd or 4th and 1? And I'm just going, how can you possibly not get that? But it happens. The Nick Mullins against the Bengals a couple of years ago, the Vikings are fighting for a playoff spot. Stopped on 2 consecutive 3rd and 4th and 1s trying to Tush push. Not everyone can do this. It's not a competitive advantage for the Eagles, an unfair competitive advantage. It's a skill. Something that Jalen Hurts in particular is just fantastic at. It feels more unfair to me to ban the play that Philly is spectacular at than for Philly to actually run the play and convert it most of the time. Because you still have to stop them, and just no one can. What it really is an annoying play. It's everything about it. The Eagles are annoying. I think Nick Sirianni's a little bit annoying. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. Their fan base is annoying. No one likes the Eagles. So the fact that they're the team who's great at this and that they're the team that's popularized it, I think that does contribute as well to the notion of people wanting it banned. Because even after they got it accepted, the Eagles post on Twitter a push on graphic against the Packers, which would piss me off if I'm a Packer fan. It actually even pisses me off a bit as a Viking fan. Then they put on YouTube 26 minutes of the tush push after it's approved. So the Eagles rub your face and things. Their fan base, again, I know a lot of Eagles fans that I really like. Their fan base is brutal. I do not like seeing Philly fans happy. Straight up, I'll say that. I think they're rude. I think that they're obnoxious. I think that they're just you gotta be careful with the words you choose here. But I just think that they're not the best fan base in the world, especially when it comes to how they treat opposing fans. I think most people would agree with that. They're passionate. They're great fans of their team, but they take it a step too far. And I know they don't care about that, but that's part of what goes into this to me, is that I don't like Philly. People don't like Philly. So taking away the play that they're great at and unstoppable at, where there's been so many times where you're watching an Eagles game, and if they get down to 3rd and 1 or even 3rd and 2, you just go, it's a first down. Like, we can't stop them. I remember week 1 against the Packers. I'm watching that game, and there was so many drives at the end where Jalen Hurts would make a spectacular 2nd and 12 play to get it within a yard, or maybe even a 3rd and 4 play, runs out of bounds a yard short. Most teams are punting there, not Philly. It gives them, they're really in a situation where they're entering drives with 1st and 9. And if they can get 9 yards, they're going to be converting most of the time, almost every single time. And that's where, again, I'll say, it's not an unfair competitive advantage. It's just something that they're fantastic at. And it's won them a lot of games. Like, I really think that it's contributed to winning for them a lot. So what really is going on here, what's actually probably the problem, is that during the NFC Championship game last year, and you saw Mike Pereira come on after the game and say, I'm expecting a rule change, or at least a proposal to ban the tush push next year, because of what happened in Eagles Commanders with the goal line stop, or not goal line stop, I'm sorry, lack thereof, where the Eagles were on the 1 yard line and you had Frankie Luvu jumping over the line of scrimmage 3 different times. It was hysterical. Like, I personally, maybe it's because I find most things funny as opposed to getting angry, but Frankie Luvu jumping over the Eagles line of scrimmage 3 straight times, trying to time up the play perfectly, which I don't blame him for doing that. You're trying to stop the play that's unstoppable. Think of something. You even saw like Eagles offensive linemen laughing at it. And that's where it kind of becomes dangerous. If defenders become so reckless that they're jumping on people's backs. And again, NFL athletes are much better athletes than I am. But I'm imagining if I'm in an offensive line position, your body's already kind of in an awkward position there. If you have people landing on your back, that much weight too of NFL linebackers and defensive linemen jumping, trying to get a read on the count, that does become dangerous, because, there's the human body's so crazy with how a little bit of pressure in the wrong direction and everything can break. I think when you're walking, actually, if you're, like an inch off bounds, like your foot will break, and that could be totally wrong, but I thought I heard that. And, just think of Teddy Bridgewater's injury, right? One misstep and his knee shatters. Like, the body's really fragile. And if you have heavy linebackers jumping on top of dudes who are already in an awkward stance, not able to really take on that weight, that is a problem. So I think, I'm sorry, to get back to where we were, with Luvu jumping over the line so many times, it was hysterical to me. But a lot of people, and even by the 3rd time, you're going, okay, man, like come on. Let's stop this. For Washington, you're moving the ball a quarter inch, half an inch at a time. They don't care. But to the regular onlooker of the game, it looks bad for the NFL. It's kind of embarrassing for the NFL. And I think Roger Goodell might have been at that game, but by all means, he was watching it, and he's saying that needs to change. That's probably what happened. I was talking to one of my friends, and he said going to the Packers makes sense too, because you just gave them the draft. And on top of that, they don't have a league owner. So there doesn't necessarily have to be a face of the tush push ban. It's more of a team takes that on. And I think the Packers would take that trade to have the draft. Mark Murphy really wanted the draft in Green Bay. So what really happened there, and what probably happened, is that Roger Goodell did not want the play, and the Packers wound up taking on being the face of it. And the NFC Championship game, even though teams had already been discussing banning it, once that happened and you had that national stage embarrassment, that's when it went, okay, we need to get rid of this play. And it hasn't happened yet. But what I was saying before, again, with Luvu jumping over and landing on people, maybe it makes more sense to say defenses, you have one penalty here, otherwise, or one or two penalties, otherwise it's automatic first. Well, I guess it would in most cases be a first down regardless, but in goal line situations, you can amend it and say you get two penalties. If you get a third, it's a touchdown. Like, I mean, that's why it was embarrassing for the league. They had to actually say, with one more penalty, Washington will one more unsportsmanlike penalty for Washington, and we will award Philadelphia with a touchdown because this is unsportsmanlike, which has never been called in the history of the game. So it was an amazing moment as far as being a football fan. But if I'm running the NFL, I can see myself sitting back going, yeah, this can't happen. Like, this makes the game look bad. Does that, like that, on top of being a sort of ugly play in and of itself, it also makes the league look bad. So Luvu actually came out as well. They were talking to him about it, the culprit of this whole thing. And he said it's kind of a cheapo play, which I imagine is how most defenses feel. But again, that's mostly against the Eagles and Bills, I would say, because other teams just don't run it as much. It's kind of a cheapo play, was the quote. That was also in an interview set up, I believe, by the NFL. So again, the propaganda. But anyway, I'm happy ultimately that this wound up remaining in play. I get people who say it doesn't look good, that this isn't rugby, and I wouldn't be happy if the NFL turned into just a scrum all the time. Like, again, I just watch rugby, and there's a reason I'm not often watching rugby, probably because it's not in America, but once in a while, like this 4th and 1 play, I think it's fine. Week 10, the Eagles go to Green Bay on Monday Night Football. With the way Philly acts, I wouldn't be surprised if they just came out and on the opening drive just ran tush pushes down the field. They'd probably score. They'd probably average 3 yards of tush push, end up in the end zone. Everyone would be furious, except Eagles fans who would be rubbing it in everyone's face. It would be all over social media. That actually could lead to the tush push being banned. I could see them, if they did that, just to spite the Eagles, the whole league would wind up banning the tush push. But I wouldn't be surprised, given how obnoxious the Eagles are and how spiteful I think they are, that they might do it. And again, it would be hysterical. Like, we can't argue that. If they just tush push down the field into the end zone against the team proposing the tush push in their stadium, that'd be great. I don't know if I could vote against it. That would be the ultimate stop it. Just stop it. If you want, if you want it to go away, stop us. And if they went right down the field, I wouldn't be surprised. That would be shocking if they ran it every play. But if they opened with one, that'd be pretty funny. A couple other quick rule changes that I liked. I was a big fan of changing the onside kick. Well, look, the onside kick at this point, having to declare an onside kick, it completely ruins the surprise onside kick, like the Saints-Colts in the Super Bowl. But you should be allowed to do an onside kick whenever you want. Previously, you were only allowed to perform an onside kick when you were trailing in the fourth quarter. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You should be allowed to make a dumb decision whenever you can, or whenever you want. So now you can onside kick at any time in the game as long as you're trailing. I'd personally prefer if you didn't have to declare it. It's kind of dumb to me, but you should absolutely be able to declare it whenever you want. The Lions withdrew their proposal for the playoff reseeding. Remember, the Lions' proposal was to still have 4 division winners and to still have 3 wildcard teams. But once that field is set, to reseed based on record, as opposed to the current structure that we have, where the 4 division winners are seeded 1 through 4 based on record, and then the 3 wildcard teams are seeded 5, 6, and 7 based on record as well. Mike Tomlin's a big advocate for the divisions. I am a big advocate for the divisions. It's pretty funny. As I say, one of the most famous coaches in the game, followed up by myself as the leading voices for division purity. But Yes, I really like having a reward for winning your division. There are ups and downs every single season. The NFC North is good some years. The NFC North is bad some years. This season, as the biggest victim in the history of football of the wild cards of the current structure, with the Vikings being 14-3 and being the 5 seed going on the road. I know it was in Arizona because of the wildfires, but not having a home game since the Lions were 15-2. I'm fine with it. That's just the way it works sometimes. You have a great year and someone's better than you in your division. It's tough luck. Sometimes we see situations like the Seahawks where you have 9 wins and you win your division because the rest of your division is horrible. You should get a home game for winning your division. It keeps the rivalries intense. It keeps them much more interesting, in my opinion. I'm very happy. Now, look, I think the Lions are going to propose it again when we go to 18 games. That's what I believe I heard. But for now, we'll keep the current structure. And I'd imagine most fans and most teams are in favor of the divisions because there's something special about them. Like that's how it is. In the NBA, we talked about this on the last show. As a Knicks fan, I'm into the Knicks Celtics games, Knicks Sixers games because of the geography, because of the history of those rivalries. But it's not as much the division. I'm not coming out here talking about Eastern Conference divisions. However, in the NFL, I think that would be a problem if you just had. You'd still have your rivalries, but if you got rid of divisions, I think you'd lose a bit. Last but not least, actually probably least, NFL allowed players to play in the Olympics for 2028. Now, Ziggy really wants to come on tonight and draft, not draft, but I think he just wants to put forth his Olympic team and have me react to it. I told him it was a great idea. Honestly, don't really care. like, 2028 Olympic team is 3 years away. We're 2 years away from maybe selecting it. Like, I do not care right now. But if Ziggy wants to have some fun, and I already told him it's a great idea, then I guess that I've made my bed. Now I have to lay in it. So that'll be it for this quick reaction to the Tush Push being allowed for the 2025 season. Again, I think it's a good decision. It sucks because I hate the Eagles. Like, I really do. If I'm talking about teams, the most disliked teams for me in the NFL, 1, the Saints, 2 is probably the Packers, and then 3 is the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles might even be. I actually think I dislike the Eagles second most. I really don't like Philly. It's amazing, actually, that they've found a way to jump the Packers here. But they're that unlikable. And even I, a Eagles hater, have to accept that it's just a good play. You have to tip your cap and say, well done, guys. Maybe my opinion will change this year. I'm not against being petty and changing my opinion. But as it stands right now, I think that the Tush Push should remain a legal play, and it is for now. So, yes, Philadelphia, push on.